In today's topic, APUs. If you are an over-the-road truck driver in North America who spends a fair amount of nights in your truck, then you should consider investing in some type of idle management system. And the beauty of it all is that in today's market, there is plenty of choices. We're going to focus today specifically on the PACCAR Offer product, electric APU, because it's the one that I've had for the past couple of years. As you can see from my truck's build sheet, I opted for the Smart Air system as well as the engine auto start. These are two completely independent systems from each other, but they do work best when paired. The very first pro I like to mention with this system is the upfront cost, which at the time of purchase ended up saving me about 10 to 20% compared to any of the other diesel power units available in the market. The next big pro is the fact that it is a silent system because it is electric, so there is no engine noise, hum, or any fumes coming out throughout the brake time. Another pro is that because there are no additional engines or moving parts, there's very little maintenance cost. And if there is any type of repair work, then it's a one-stop shop instead of having to wait on long queue lines at the typical diesel APU places, which usually prioritize the reefer units on the trailers. Now, a big con is the fact that the electric units are just not as strong in cooling power as any of the available diesel units in the market. So in order for Smart Air to be able to maintain a decent temperature in that sleeper during extreme hot temperatures, then you have to pair the Smart Air with the auto start, because the auto start feature has an option that would monitor that HVAC as well, and that will supplement what Smart Air is doing for you. So that's why you have to pair Smart Air with the engine auto start. Now, if you're wondering about the weights, they are fairly similar. So if this is going to be your decision-making factor, they're about the same. Now, as far as the operation of the system is fairly simple. You have a control panel with just an on-off button, and then you have some options, as well as some temperature control buttons on the panel itself. And then it's just simply going to cycle through whether you want it to be a cool temperature, hot temperature, or the fan speed, and just simply give you information on the screen. Now, as far as the hardware itself, then under the bunk, you are going to have an AC unit. And it's not a really big AC unit, so you still have a fair amount of under bunk storage available to you. And then obviously on the outside of the truck, you're going to have your additional battery box and then the condenser. During the operation of the auto start feature, it's going to cycle through some checks that are going to end up making noises like this inside of the truck from the dash every couple of hours or so. And that is a big con for me, because as you're trying to sleep through the night, those noises just keep going on constantly. Now, as far as the operation itself, you just push the button for about 3 seconds, and then you'll see a notification on your dash that says the auto start feature is now available. Now, their auto start feature is going to come with 4 different options as far as monitoring. One of them is going to be your battery life. So it'll allow the batteries to go down to 50%, and then it'll start that engine to recharge them up to 80%. It's also going to be monitoring the oil temperature at the oil pan for extreme cold temperatures, so it's going to help you not have issues with cold starts. And then it's also going to monitor the fuel temperature at the filter, but that feature is going to be automatically turned off from the factory. So if you want that feature to be on, you have to turn it on after you buy the truck. And then it's also going to have a feature to monitor the HVAC, like we explained earlier. This feature is also going to be turned off, so you have to turn it on after purchase. Now, as far as the operation itself, I noticed that as the system is going on during my 10-hour break, then it does about 10% of battery life per hour. So in about 5 hours of operation, it'll go to 50%, at which time then the engine will start. And it'll run for about 45 minutes to get it up to 80%, because it's charging about 10% every 50 minutes or so. So what ends up happening is that during a 10-hour break, the system runs about twice. I should mention that all of this information is based off of the Smart Air running the AC feature, which is what is utilized in that auxiliary battery, and is also assuming a non-extreme heat situation in which the auto start feature would have to run just to help out with the HVAC. So let's run some numbers. See, on average, I spend about 250 nights in the truck throughout the year. So if we just bring the usage for the 10-hour break to about 2 gallons, that's about 500 gallons of fuel a year with this system. And at around $3 per gallon, that's about $1,500 of fuel cost. So what is the alternative? See, if I did not have this EPU, then I would have to idle at about 1 gallon per hour. So during the entire 10 hours, that is 10 gallons. 250 nights ends up being about 2,500 gallons of fuel a year. So at about $3 a gallon, that is about $7,500 of fuel cost. So not having an idle management system is costing me about $6,000 a year. Now, one more pro before the end of the video. It seems like PACCAR is the only one has figured out how to mount this condenser right by the exhaust vents, which is going to end up recycling some of that already cooled air inside of the sleeper. I like that. I hope this video has brought you some insight into the PACCAR EPU and you understand it better now. Well, let me know what you think. Thanks.